Welcome to Literally Books, the podcast. My name is Magda.
And I'm Lindsay.
And today we're going to be talking about the last quarter of Onyx Storm. We're going to be covering chapters 51 through 66. We made it, Lindsay. We're here.
We made it. We're graduating.
It does feel like a little bit of a graduation, for sure.
I feel a type of way. I'm going to be honest. We'll get into it, but...
Can't wait to chat about it. But maybe let's go ahead and get started with a quick recap of what happened, and then we'll get into our thoughts.
Okay. We resume with the Wyvern attacking the city and the gang begins battle. Arik tells Violet to protect the Temple of Dune, but Violet doesn't listen, of course. And Darna does, though. And when Violet goes to save her and the priestess is at the temple, the Irids arrive and fire the wards just before they would have been killed.
Leothan, an Irid from Andarna's den, convinces Andarna to come back with him to learn the ways of the Irids, and Andarna leaves, severing her bond with Violet, and Violet becomes Twilight Eclipse level depressed.
When arguing with Brennan, Mira reveals that she learned from her grandmother, Niara, that Asher took Violet to be dedicated to the Temple of Dune. The dedication is incomplete because the priestesses say her path is not yet set. Mira says, the heart that beat for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reach for unspeakable power and turn dark. In this moment, Mira finds out that it is Xaden who is Venin, not Violet.
And then Mira gets kidnapped by Theophany in an attempt to lure Violet to her. Violet makes a decision to go save her and they battle. We get the details of the battles from various perspectives, including Rhiannon, Imogen, Xaden, and Violet.
Okay.
These last 100 pages went by quick. So much happened.
Quick.
What was the most shocking thing in your mind?
Okay, I don't know that it's the most shocking, but it's where I'm going to start. We learned that Jack Barlow and Xaden actually share a sage, Berwyn, who is the rival of Theophany. So that's going to obviously come into play big time at the end, but you're seeing sort of these rival factions even within the Venin community and these dualities between Theophany and Violet and Xaden and Berwyn, and it's super fascinating to see how that will likely play into the next book.
Yeah, like there's a lot of politics involved with the Venin, which is something that I was not anticipating. I thought they were just kind of going off of one leader, no questions asked. But it sounds like there's still a little bit of a struggle within them, which it's going to be pretty interesting how this unfolds.
Yeah. What about you?
There was one part in this book that made me cry. Like I was bawling in my couch last night, and it was when Andarna severed the bond with Violet. It was so heart-wrenching, kind of seeing Violet trying to tell her, I'm going to support you no matter what. I think you should go with them so you can learn the ways. But you do whatever. Like, you have my full support. And I was just, like, crying.
It was our, like, Harry and the Hendersons moment where she was like, go, get out of here. I have to be honest, though, I was also sobbing because it was such a selfless act. I felt like Andarna was a bit cold in her departure. She just laid her days right out there, didn't say goodbye, just severed the bond and peaced.
She was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
But I think it has a lot to do. Andarna is a teenager, right? She's an adolescent. And I think she had been feeling quite a bit that she was not being utilized to her full potential. Because think about when you're 15 and 16, you think you know everything.
Right.
You know all the answers. And I think that's what Andarna was feeling like. So she's like, okay, finally I got my freedom and I'm going to get to go do whatever I want. And Violet kind of had that maternal moment that is like, I'm going to miss you and I love you so much. I'm going to set you free because this is what you need to do for yourself. And it was heart-wrenching, but I kind of get it from Andarna's perspective because of the mindset that she's in at that moment.
Yeah, and I think something that keeps coming up, and this is related to Violet's kind of counter positioning to Xaden too, is that she has an ability to endure. In a way, she is super resilient. Like, yes, she's super depressed out of this, but Taryn keeps telling her, like, you must keep going. And we see Violet rise to that occasion over and over again in this book in a way that Xaden does not. And I think this is a perfect moment to illustrate that, is that she's just always going to put others first, much to her detriment. And this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and I think she said that it was because of Taryn mostly that she kept going. Taryn, I mean, of course, Xaden, but like I think she kept bringing Taryn, like, I still have him and I need to do whatever I can for him. And I also found it very lovable how Taryn opened up completely the shields from him to give access to Violet over the 3 or 4 days that she was like in a comatose state in her bed.
Yeah.
Like, Taryn just let her have full access to him, which is something that we had never done. And we're going to see them more in like later in other chapters where he just keeps opening up more to her in ways that other dragons don't with their writers.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to talk about this, but like seeing the relationships between the other writer, because we get their alternate perspectives, and seeing their relationships with their dragons and how much that varies based upon their personalities. I personally was like, I need Violet's relationship. I need someone who's like a little bit grumpy, but also super supportive.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was great. I love that.
Okay, can we talk about, because I think we both have this down, but from different perspectives. Can we talk about when Theophany basically abducts Mira?
That one was also a very scary moment. I did appreciate, I think before we get, like, we found out that Theophany kidnaps Mira. I love the fact that they all knew this was a trap and everybody told Violet, you need to stick with the plan. You cannot, you have one objective, which is go and keep Theophany occupied and doing all these things. There's going to be a big battle going on around you and they're going to be counting on you to deviate from the plan and try to go save everybody. Your one objective, go save Myra and then kill Theophany.
And they make Violet choose the objective. I liked
Yes.
that too. That they're like, look, here's the deal. We have the people on the cliffs that are the
Mhm.
refugees trying to cross over. We have the battle at Drathis, and then we have Theophany.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, you can't have all three. Because she's trying to say, like, oh, well, maybe if I battle in between them or whatever. And
Exactly.
Brennan's like, you can't do that in war. You're going to have to accept a loss. And so she has to say, what's the biggest impact?
And I love because this is something that like it gets annoying over time that she just kind of keeps putting people's life at risk because she's trying to save them
Hmm.
at the same time. So I really appreciated that her flaws are being called out because it is a flaw. Like, well, it's a good thing, but it's a flaw that kind of impacts all of the missions and her friends and her family. Like, you need to stop doing that and you need to focus because otherwise you're gonna mess everything up.
You know what's interesting too? We talked about this when we talked about Eivor Okosan's Forged by Blood. Demi, the lead character in that, really struggles with the idea of not being able to save everyone. Like she is altruistic to a fault. And we're getting that sort of same thing here where it's like the realities of war are that people are going to be lost and you're going to have to make those hard decisions about who.
Exactly.
And it's just fucking tough.
Yep. But we are able to save Mira, which is kind of nice. But that was kind of a little bit of a struggle because Theophany pretty much tells Violet like, there's two things that you need to know about us. We are very deliberate about the words that we choose, and we lie. Because in theory, what they were supposed to say, they said something along the lines of like, if you guys come and get Mira, we're gonna let the city stand. And I think Violet extracted from that they were gonna let Mira go, and that was not the case. So Mira gets her neck cut, but they are able to save her thanks to Sloane, who is a siphon. And Sloane uses Dane's power to be able to give it to Brennan so Brennan can actually mend her. The interesting thing about this is that Sloane tells Dane, no one like you should be having this much power. And I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Mm-hmm. Like as soon as Sloane kind of grabs his hand, she makes that comment and like we just get past it. But it's like a really strong sentence that I'm like, oh, what does this mean? Does this gonna mean something later? I have no idea.
I think it does mean something later, and I'm going to talk about it in our foreshadowing section. I have some thoughts around this. That moment, I think, is really important.
Yep.
You come to love Dane and Sloane because they basically abandon their post to come save Mira and
Yes.
get Violet out of a bad situation. But I think there's a lot of telling pieces of information.
Yes. And I think that's why I loved like the multi POV, and I think we're gonna talk about it later. But it just kind of gives us a little bit more information about each of the cadets too, and what they're thinking, and how they're receiving information and things that are happening around them. I kind of like those kind of changes just for us to learn more.
Yeah. The other thing that we learn in this moment is we get a bit more information about the way that Venom magic works. So basically, the gang saves Mira. They kind of go to escape because Violet says, like, you need to get out of here. And Theophany is still there, sort of toying with Bodhi and with Violet, and she's trying to draw from the ground. And she basically says, like, we can't draw power from an area that's already been leveraged for magic. And so when she's drawing from the ground, the way that Violet survives is essentially to climb on the back of a wyvern because a wyvern's already been created out of magic and it's already been killed. And that's how she lives. And I like that we're getting these insights a bit more into like the logic and the rules of the magic. Okay, let's talk about the last few big things that we learn.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with Auric. We learned that Auric is a freaking precog.
I know. I'm so excited for this. I feel he's one of my favorite characters of this book now.
I agree.
He is taking a special place right next to Liam. in my heart, which kind of worries me because I love him so much. But he is truly a person that is trying to do the right thing, and he tries to like tell Violet and all of the other leaders around him like what they should be doing. Obviously, nobody kind of listens to him, but I just kind of love that he's coming into his own power and he's fighting on the right side.
Yeah, and the important thing, the way that we learn that he's a precog is essentially that he gives Violet a note, which of course Violet ignores him
Everything.
constantly. He tells her to go to the Temple of Dune, and that's when the Irids come. She ignores that. She only goes because Andarna goes and disobeys her order. And then here he gives her a note and basically gives her this knife, which we learn is a piece of rock from the Temple of Dune. And we also learn that Theophany was previously a priestess there and had been banned because she turned venom. So this is what Violet uses to attack Theophany in this moment and essentially kill her. Who knows if she's actually dead, but kill her in this moment. And we know that he knew to give her this because he has this precognition moment. So it's a huge thing.
Yeah. So it's gonna be even more powerful than Melgrant's power. So he's going to be a very key person. He might be one of the main six riders that is being like predicted in the past that they kind of walk among them. Like it's a very rare time that the most powerful six signets are gonna be together, and I'm guessing he's gonna be one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last two big things.
Okay, so we found out really quickly two things. Panchek was the traitor all along, and he was a Venom. So that was like a really big twist at the end. And then the final last two pages, we learned that Satan and Violet got married, and Satan left because he fully turned Venom. So I don't know what to do with that information right now.
I we got to save that to the end, our thoughts, because I don't even know where to start with those two pieces of information. Mind blowing, but yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, let's talk about it at length in a little bit here.
Okay.
Let's move on to some like lighter notes. What did we love the most about these last few chapters?
I loved the kind of back and forth between Bodhi and Xaden and the conversations around succession being the way that we sort of skirt the line around talking about Xaden fully turning. I think at this point, no one is willing to accept that he's a lost cause except for himself. He keeps telling them, like, this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And he keeps trying to prepare Bodhi for that conversation. And Bodhi is essentially refusing. And I think that, in terms of like our foreshadowing conversation, is sort of why the marriage conversation even comes up, because Bodhi's just not willing to entertain being the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I think you're right about that, and I think he had a little bit of hope in the back, but I think as soon as he kind of see that like things were getting out of control, that he was not really gonna have another choice, and he was just happy to spend whatever much time he had left with Violet and then just move on. So it's gonna be interesting
Agreed.
what happens in the next book with that. On a lighter note, and I think we talked about this earlier, I really did love the different point of views from like Imogen and Rhiannon, and we get to see the relationship with the dragons. And y'all, the dragons are really funny. All of them, like in their own way. Some of them are like really sassy towards each other. Like they call them out on all the things. I think with Rhiannon, her dragon was like, well, I'm second guessing like what the decision that I made in the threshing at this point. I don't know. They're just really funny and sassy. And I just want a book from the dragon's perspective. That is my goal from Rebecca to be able to get us that.
I mean, yeah. And it's so interesting because Rhiannon's dragon prioritizes like strong decision making. Imogen's dragon is going to do whatever the hell Imogen's dragon wants to do, which is exactly how Imogen is. I thought it was super. I'm of two minds about this. I was ready to get through these chapters. I think they were useful. I didn't find them the most entertaining, but I like do think it was super insightful to see from other people's perspective.
That's exactly right. Yep.
The last like stupid thing, but I could not stop laughing about how often Rebecca mentions that the Venom have chapped lips. I want to be like the shade of their beauty routines. How dare. They're like, you look, you may draw all the power from the world, but you cannot be bothered to put a little Vaseline on those lippies. It's just really funny to me.
I can't believe I totally missed those remarks. And like now I need to go back and reread
She
it. 'Cause,
mentions it multiple times.
oh my gosh, I totally missed that. That's such a funny catch to me. But I love it because that is something that I hate having chapped lips, and I have Vaseline with me all the freaking time.
Like that would be my one deterrent from becoming Venom. Like I hate having chapped lips.
Yeah, that doesn't work. And then last thing from my end, I don't know if this is like something that I love. No, I did love it. I think once Andarna lives, and like she severs a bond, we do still see that Violet walks into Satan's dreams. And not only that, the sage and Satan know that she's in there, and they're having a full-on conversation in the dreams. Full-on inception, y'all. So it is it's kind of crazy, and I'm wondering how that works, because how does she still have this power since Andarna left? I thought that would have been gone by now.
And Mira mentions that a couple of times, like, how are you dealing with the loss of power? How are you dealing? And I thought
Hmm.
that was interesting too, because Violet's like, I don't really care about the power. I like am mostly concerned about this part of my like soul that's missing.
What about, let's talk about foreshadowing. I think we have quite a bit of things. Maybe, I think you have a really big theory here.
Okay, I do have a really big theory.
Hmm.
So when Sloane siphons from Dane to Brennan, there's a moment where Violet says, it's interesting because it doesn't leave a mark on either of them like it did when Sloane siphoned from Lilith
Hmm.
when they go to repower the Wardstone at Basgiath in Iron Flame. And the mark, I think, is a signifier. This is a wild theory.
Okay.
I think Lilith may have been Venom.
And she was stable, you
And she
think?
just never got, I think she was, her like thing around control allowed her to be stable for a really long time. And I think that is why Asher kind of steals Violet away to dedicate her to the temple at Dune, which is what we learn. Because he's worried about her safety and thinks like this is a way to save her. And so when Sloane siphons from her, that Venom power gets transferred onto Brennan.
Oh.
And that's why, or vice versa. It could be Brennan. It's just that then my Asher theory doesn't fit. But I think something Venom is going on between those two because when she siphons from Dane, it doesn't happen.
I think that kind of makes sense because we do get, I think, in Fourth Wing, I believe Violet said something along the lines that she was scared of her mom because her mom one time came back with really scary eyes at some point. Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
She was really little. So, and once you become a little bit stable, the eyes kind of
Go away.
go not back to normal, but it's a little bit more easy to disguise it. And also, why else would Lilith keep all of the kids at an arm's length? You know?
I definitely think that and want to be, it's like, yeah, their safety being the most important
Mm-hmm.
thing.
And I also want to call out something. So in chapter 65, in Zayden's point of view, where he's talking to Berwin, who is the guy that made Zayden, he kind of talks about his new brother. And, Panchek is there, but I don't think it's Panchek, the new brother.
No, it is because remember, Jack is what they call his brother in earlier parts of the book, and then Panchek is the person who turns.
Yeah, but then he says something along the lines of like, how could he do this? Choose this after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months. I don't feel like Panchek knew that Satan was a venom, or I don't think Satan would confide that information into him. So I think it could either be Bodhi or Garrick, and I think that's why they got married. Mm-hmm.
Oh
I'm thinking,
shit.
I don't know,
And Bodhi and Garrick are both missing at the end,
and
aren't
they're
they?
both missing, so it could be either one of those two.
Magda.
So I don't know. Maybe that's why like that was the contingency
I
plan.
didn't even clock that because I was like, oh, Panchek. It's
Yeah.
Panchek.
It's kind of confusing, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to reread chapter 65 and 66 like 4 different times. It's
I mean, you
yeah.
just blew my mind.
Ah,
I
we'll see.
no. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So I think that's why now Violet is now the
The
Duchess,
Duchess, yeah, of
the Duchess
Tyrandor.
of Terrandor, because he had to make that
Okay.
decision. That way, the king Tari wouldn't just appoint anybody to rule that land.
Holy
We'll see. I don't
crap.
know. Could be
Holy
totally
crap.
wrong, guys. I'm probably overthinking this.
Woo! Okay, the theories. Okay, should we round out? Open questions, last thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I think we left with a lot more open questions than anything. So maybe let's kind of finish it up with like what we want to see or what we want to learn more in the next books. I have so many. So first one, like the one that we just talked about, who is the new brother? And then there was something that happened in the last few chapters, especially in Imogen's point of view, where she mentions at the end of her chapter, I know how to make sure that we don't lose the battle here, and I need everybody to disarm themselves. And I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. So I actually do think I understand that
Oh,
because
okay.
we learned Imogen's second signet.
What was the fire?
No, she can turn, I think she can change elemental materials of some kind. Because
Oh,
remember, she takes the shield and she turns it into rock. And Atos is like, what the hell did you
you
just
do.
do? And that's what saves them from the wyvern fire. But I do hear I guess that's my open question is like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about every mark. Like, does every single marked one have a second signet? I think we're thinking
Yeah,
yes.
I think we are.
And I want to know everyone's second signet.
I want to know what Sloane's second signet is going to be.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
She's gonna be so powerful. I'm so
Oh
excited.
my gosh, you're so
Hmm.
right about that. And it does make sense because when they say like, oh, magic likes everything in balance, and Sloane is like not that great of a fighter. We know that from
Yeah.
Iron Flame. She's like not that good on the mat. And so maybe that's why she gets such a powerful signet.
She might be one of our 6 powerful signet
Girl.
riders.
Okay,
Who
yeah.
knows?
Okay, what else? Now you've got me really, you got my mind cranking over here.
I also want to know at the end in the last chapter, Andarna tells Violet, "I'm not gonna let them burn you, or you're not gonna burn." And I'm like, why would she make that comment? Like, it's just Brennan talking to Violet about it. 'Cause at this point, we kind of learned that Violet is pretty confused because it's been 12 hours since the battle, and she's just like, I don't know what happened in those 12 hours.
Mhm.
Now we know that Imogen actually erased her memories. So she has no idea how she got married, what happened. She's missing fully
Wait, I
12
missed
hours.
that too.
Yeah.
I missed apparently everything.
What do
I
you
didn't know
mean?
Imogen erased her memories.
Yeah, at
I
the
thought she
end.
just passed out.
No, at the end of it, Violet looks at Imogen and she does like, "What did you do, Imogen?" And Imogen's like, "What you told me to do," which is like, I erased your memory for the past 12 hours.
I read these chapters 2 times, and I'm still like, huh. This is our warning to the reader. Read these chapters 15 times because we picked up different things. I did not realize that she had her memories erased.
That's why. So she doesn't remember. That's why when she was looking at her ring, she was like, "Wait, I'm married. What's happening?" And then the other thing that kind of leads me to my next question is, how did they get the official blessing from Dune for the marriage within 12 hours? Brennan receives this letter.
No, I think because Garrick. Okay, this is why I think it's actually, you might be right about your earlier thing that it's Bodhi or Garrick, but I actually think it's Garrick or Bodhi who turned into a Venant and not Garrick, because Garrick is a space wielder or like a distance wielder.
So he went and did that really
So
quick.
I think he took them, yes,
Oh my gosh.
and brought them back.
Okay, that makes
See,
sense.
between you and I, our detective agency, we got this covered. I think
That's
Garrick is
it.
probably fine. And so in the next book, we can have Imogen and Garrick finally getting together, but we're going to have trouble with Bodhi.
Oh my, you're right. You're absolutely right. See, maybe we don't have open questions. We'll see. These are our
we
theories.
have a lot of open question because I think the biggest one that we both asked is like, what the hell is a dedication?
Yes. What the heck is that? What is the point of it? Why was it well, now we know why it was rejected, but what did Papa Sorrengo wanted to cure? Because I think he wanted to cure something or protect from something.
Protect, but I don't know
Yes.
why Dune too.
I don't know.
But it explains why he would go to all of the Isles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he's going to all of the Isles to look for something.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, let's kind of close this out with things that maybe kind of made us crazy about the book, and then maybe a ranking of the Empyrean series.
Okay. First thing that makes me freaking nuts. Why are the freaking names so similar between things? Nowlin, Nolan, Llewellyn the person, Llewellyn the place. There are so many characters already. Can we make their names completely different?
I need a character map or glossary and a better map, you guys. None of the islands are in the stupid map. I need a better map. So Rebecca, please release this because it is getting really confusing. And I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones that are going through this.
I've seen so many people on TikTok create their own little glossaries and character guides and dragon guides. It's so confusing.
It's so much information, y'all. The other thing too that kind of made me a little bit crazy, and this is just Rebecca's style of writing, she uses very similar words over and over again. And every time that Zayden and Violet are gonna get down to business, she always says, "Yes, please." Every single freaking time. And I don't know why it annoys me so much.
There are a few things that she repeats over and over again. And I know when people speak, they do that.
Yeah.
But like, I got really tired of his lips crash into mine. I'm like, that's not romantic.
Collide,
That seems,
crash.
yeah, it seems like it would really hurt. Well, fucking aware. I get it. It's a thing that Zayden says, but it happens multiple times. But
it was just little things. It's just like when I think you're right. It's like when you're talking to somebody and they have the same words that they use over and over again. So every time I saw those words, I was just like, ugh.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh. And I think that's it. I think as a whole, I enjoyed the book. I think here's my ranking for this book. Fourth Wing to me is still my number one.
Number one.
No, nothing tops that. I think this comes in second, and I think that the bottom is Iron Flame. Y'all, I did not enjoy Iron Flame as much as I thought I did after rereading it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed this one more.
For me, it's Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. This
really,
I think I get why you don't like I get why everyone's grievances with Iron Flame. The first quarter of the book, Violet and Zayden's back and forth, is very annoying. But I think the emotional beats, particularly with Lilith, are so strong in that book. I was sobbing the second time when she gives up her life to save her kids.
Yeah,
And so that is, and then we have Liam showing up in that torture
that was pretty
chamber.
good.
I think we're missing some of that in this book. And I wonder if it's because the publication timeline is just too darn short.
Yeah, like the books come out really quickly. I think what made me enjoy this book a lot more, I think your points are really valid, but it's just the way that Violet took charge
Yeah.
when they were exploring the Isles. I think to me that was so powerful and strong, and it gave me a glimpse of the potential future that we're gonna see of Violet now that she's a Duchess. And I think it's gonna make her more sure of herself. So it gives me a lot of hope that I'm really going to enjoy her character arc as long as she doesn't go full eclipse on us and goes depressed because she doesn't know where Zayden is.
I think you might be right. Yeah, what did you think about the marriage trope? What did you think about the ending?
Y'all, I'm sorry. Please don't come for me. I don't like a marriage trope like that. I think it goes, my most hated thing is a pregnancy trope, miscommunication. And I think this thing, I did not, I rolled my eyes when I saw that.
I did too.
I
I
rolled
wish
my
that was
eyes.
not the last chapter. I wish we got one more chapter about her meeting with the assembly and starting this next step,
I love that
or
idea.
something else, because for that to be the very last thing that we get, like to your point, Violet has just rocked these last few chapters. She's gotten so strong. And for the end of that to be like, and her payoff is
She got married.
an evil husband. Yeah, it's not satisfying. I wish we could have seen one more chapter.
I totally agree. Oh my gosh, that would have been so great just for her. Like, okay, opening up the battle map and like let's get down to
Yeah.
business or
Put
something.
put Riddick, Sawyer, Imogen, and
Mhm,
her around a table
mhm.
planning their next steps.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so
It would have been so
good. Yeah.
satisfying.
I
But
yeah,
yeah.
you're right. I think it's just like I feel like the marriage thing at the end, it just I don't want to say it cheapened, but it's just made her
Mhm.
just one-dimensional character that's kind of what she wanted. I mean, although obviously like we don't know what happened, but it just I don't know. I just don't like that trope very much. I'm hoping I think I'm excited. I think kind of what I mentioned earlier, I'm ready to see Violet's badassery in full action. We
Mhm.
got glimpses of it in a lot of the chapters here in this book, and I just want the next book for her to have like just be a badass and an amazing leader. That's what I want. I want more Violet. Again, I'm kind of over Satan right now, whatever, but I just want more Violet to be her own persona and just be super strong and confident.
I cannot agree more.
All right.
What a
This was
ride.
fun. This was fun,
What a
Lindsay.
ride this was.
Crazy, crazy. We did it. We read over 600 pages. I think it was 600 or something like
Yeah, in
that.
3
I don't
days.
know. In 3 days. And I guess we'll see you guys next year,
In a year.
maybe.
Yeah. Oh my God. We have so long to wait.
Oh, God. Well, thank you for listening to Literally Books, the podcast.
Where we say what we read.
And we mean what we say. Bye.